Welcome back to Long Box Diving, where we explore story arcs pulled from the Long Box.
I'm not saying it this time.
Well, tonight we're going to actually do another shop talk.
Yeah.
So, we had Precog against Predictor, and then we kind of did that power, and then we did Predictors against Luck. Tonight we're going to do a little bit of different shop talk, where we're actually going to talk about several different types of teleporters.
Yeah.
Known throughout comics, what their abilities are, and how can those abilities be used offensively. And then by the end, we hope to have the quintessential teleporter that's an offensive tool, an offensive fighter.
They're thinking with portals now.
We like dad jokes here.
Yeah, excuse me, that was not a dad joke. That was a reference to the critically acclaimed Portal.
Yes, we like portals. All right, so we're going to talk about different teleporters and different power sets and different abilities they can and cannot do, limitations, and what we would think would be a good combination of those pieces that actually would make a good offensive teleporter. Not just one that is there to move the group around, but one that actually can use the teleportation ability in a very offensive fighting way, but also use it to move troops. The all-around tool.
Yeah,
right?
like they have that tool already, but to use it more offensively instead of just defensive or tactical. And hey, it's thematic. Nightcrawler's coming out soon,
Yes, Nightcrawler, giant-sized Nightcrawler. So, in honor of the giant-sized Nightcrawler coming out at some point that got pushed back, let's talk about teleporters. Now, I didn't get all teleporters. We didn't grab them all. There's way too many people in both DC and Marvel that can actually teleport. And they teleport. Well, we try to grab some different abilities from different sources, and the way they do it is differently. Now,
there's many different types of teleportation or portals or molecule rearrangement. It's
spheres,
really cool.
magic. It's all over the place, right? So the first one we're going to talk about is America Chavez. All right, so America Chavez, which we know had her own series, she was also on the Ultimates for a while, with Blue Adam and Captain Marvel and Spectrum, things of that sort. So very high power team. So her ability is listed as the power to kick open holes in reality, allowing her teammates to travel through the multiverse and into other realities. So what I'm taking from this is that she has the ability to kick open holes. So she is physically tearing reality.
Yeah.
Okay. Now she's kicking it. I'm assuming she could punch. I'm assuming she could just... Now, in the comics, I usually remember seeing it as a star shape.
Okay.
Star shape hole. But what she's doing is tearing a hole in reality. Okay. So, in terms of science, it's not really an Einstein-Rosen bridge. It's not really particle rearrangement or string theory. It's not dimensional travel from one dimension to another, things of that sort. It is literally tearing holes in reality. So, in my mind, that's probably not a good thing.
Probably pretty dangerous if it got out of hand.
Yes, so, and then again, she literally has to poke, punch this thing. Mm-hmm. In my mind, that's how it's saying. She has to kick or punch a hole in reality. So, in a battle, if she's fighting with it, she literally has to punch a hole in reality and open a portal. Offensively, I don't think that is an offensive tool.
I feel that it can be, and I think it actually would make for a really interesting story run where Miss America's like, we're just gonna keep kicking holes in reality and getting villains into different realities. They're not in our reality anymore, to the point where they get rid of all the villains and it's tearing reality apart.
Well, that's a good storyline.
I think that'd be really cool.
It's not offensive.
It can be offensive. If you can drop kick your opponent and tear reality through them.
Yeah, but that would tear them into reality.
Yes!
But I don't know if that, I don't know if that is how it works. If she punches somebody, is she punching reality and ripping them with reality? Now, it'd be interesting if she can actually literally rip a hole in a person and make them a portal into another dimension.
Yes.
I don't know if that's possible. That could be interesting and pretty gruesome.
Yeah, that would definitely be a way darker way of getting rid of your opponents.
Though she is super strong, she could do it anyway. But imagine her coming up like to Galactus and punches a hole in reality through his chest, and then you can see Cthulhu come rip out like this and just grab onto him.
That's another good point. Is what if you ripped a hole through reality, knowing where it ends up, and it's into a different reality? Well, this reality has different laws of physics and how it works, and stuff starts shooting out.
Yep.
And that could be but that again would require you to know where it's ending up instead of just chance.
It could also be she does say it does seem that she knows where she's going with it, so she can open a portal to a place. Do you remember Fate's Day?
Yes.
In Fate's Day, there was one guy who was able to bring all these weapons into play.
The Golden Treasures of Babylon.
Yes. And so imagine if she was able to do that. Open a dimension to a realm of all just flying weapons or constant meteor strikes.
Oh, yeah.
Or a flame or energy beams. And so she opens a reality hole and pointed in a certain direction, and she is a living cannon.
I think, I mean, if you know where it's going to end up, like the amount you can actually use with it is insane. Or just to set up traps for an opponent you know is coming, where this whole reality changes gravity, and so by stepping into it, you fly upwards.
So you can put a hole underneath somebody. But again, she has to punch it, so
Yeah.
she has to be at the spot. So there is a limitation. The portal will open up where she is.
But again, this is America Chavez, so
And she can probably stand up to most of the things. So I imagine she opens it up and get blasted, and she has to step out of the way.
Yeah.
So there is some limitations to it. She has to know where it's going. She has to be touching where the hole comes in, things of that sort. So we can see some offensive uses. Will it end up in our perfect offensive teleporter?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, just given how dangerous it is, you have to make your offensive teleported beefy.
All right, so we have another guy. His name is Sideways. Now, he's in DC Universe. He came out of Dark Knight Metal. He was one of the New Heroes series. So Sideways, his power has the ability to create rifts, tears, and space-time continuum. So again, he's tearing space-time. And in fact, there was a whole storyline where Fugat came up and said, hey, you're destroying the multiverse. You got to chill. So, but what he was able to do, he was able to rip tears in space-time, which allowed him to travel from any place he wants as long as he knows where it is. Now, his limitations, he has to know where the rift is going. Now, again, it doesn't say how many rifts he can have open at any given time. But what it does say is he does know how to open rift, and he doesn't have to touch the rift. He just can open a rift. Mm-hmm. And he sometimes opens rifts where fists or bullets will go through the rift and come back out at the person. So you could punch like this, and your fist would come back out at your face. He could open a rift and the guy fall through and close the rift and split the guy in half, chop the head off, things of that sort. That could be very, very interesting.
Oh yeah.
But again, there's a consequence to this. He's tearing holes in space-time. How long can he do that before he destroys the universe? Mm-hmm. Same thing with America Chavez. She's ripping holes in space-time. Not really the best thing.
Now, and see, you can be more... You can be smarter with how you use the powers in an offensive manner that actually works with how gravity works. This is something Portal, where let's say you rip two holes that are one here. The bullet's falling through it, and it's gaining speed because of gravity. If you could, and again, it's more localized, it's smaller, so the
it's going to gain speed until terminal velocity.
Yeah, and then you launch it up.
But the problem is, a bullet's flying faster than terminal velocity before it's flying. It's actually would be slowing down.
And
isn't terminal velocity slower than a bullet flying?
It maybe.
All right, so we're gonna have to look at the math on that. But
but I mean,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's more localized. You're not tearing any big holes out in from place to place, trying to pin them together.
I would like the idea of people punching themselves every time he tries to do something. He punches them. I would like to see. You know how you take a water hose and you squeeze it, you actually jet the water out faster because a constricted space, water going down from one size of volume to another size of volume actually increases the rate of movement of the water through that hole, right? So if you do something like that, let's say somebody shoots a beam, a power at him like this. He opens the portal this way, and then faces another portal at them that's smaller,
Yeah.
and actually amplify the force that's coming back at the person that they themselves shot. I think there's some applications there. I think the ability to open any type of rift. Let's say he decides to open a rift right in his frontal lobe.
Oh yeah, and like,
And the dude basically gets a lobotomy. And he's gonna be
it's
very
like, here,
happy and stop fighting.
like there's a little teeny tiny hole right in the middle of your head.
Yep. Just bloop.
It's like this character has a lot of offensive uses, but it's recognized already in canon that, hey, look, this can be very dangerous to reality as we know it.
Yes, it's tearing holes in reality. That is not a good thing. So at some point, his offensive ability is going to not be as optimal because every time he uses his ability, he could actually destroy the universe. I don't know if there's a size thing or a use thing or how often, but if he's opened 30 or 40 portals in the middle of a fight, that could be bad.
Well,
So,
yeah, if you're cutting holes through paper and pinning them together, at some point you're gonna have Swiss cheese.
Swiss cheese, and it's just gonna.
Yep.
Now, I like the portal ability. I like being able to place a portal where I want it. I think the reality tearing ability is tied to that portal is what we're having problems with.
Yeah, and it's just for the perfect for the perfect offensive teleporter, not the best shot.
Not the best thing. All right, so let's go to the next one.
Who do we have?
All right, so I believe it's DC. There is a teleporter named Peekaboo. LaShawn Biaz. It's a supervillain, and it's part of Flash, one of the Flash villains. All right, so LaShawn, she can teleport by breaking down her molecular structure and then reassembling her body elsewhere, possibly unconsciously entangling her molecules with molecules in that destination. All right, so
Also, if she's touched, she teleports me away.
she can teleport short distances
And creates implosions.
Okay, she can create. Okay, so that's all tied to what she's doing. All right, so technically, what she's doing is more along the lines of string theory. Two molecules will be associated with each other across that, and actually, it's quantum mechanics, right? Not just
quantum
string
mechanics.
theory. Quantum mechanics. So two molecules will be tied together across vast distances or right next to each other, but we don't know where the second set of molecules are at any given moment because we cannot measure it. By measuring it, we actually determine that they're somewhere else, most likely.
So theoretically,
by
in any place at any
not
given
measuring
time.
it, they're at
Yeah.
any place at any given time. And then what she's doing is taking molecules and removing them from existence, while at the same time populating the molecules of the other set at any given place. What that would create is a vacuum in mass and space. All right, because mass was there, and when you remove mass from space, you create a vacuum where things come in and explode like that. It happens with rain and wind. Wind rushes to so everything's going to rush in, and there's going to be an explosion of force. That's all tied to what she can do. All right, so if you think about this in an offensive ability, her ability to teleport right in front of you
Yeah.
and teleport away will blow you up.
Yeah, if you're not careful, it's...
And then the ability to be in front of you, and then behind you, and in front of you, behind you like this, and boom, 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 boom.
Well, and like, in my mind, it's only... the power gets stronger the faster your opponent is.
Yes.
Because the faster your opponent is, the faster your power is triggering you off because you're in multiple places all at the same
Especially
time.
if they're touching you.
Yeah.
But also the ability for her to molecularly bond with another molecule. Now, every molecule, again, by not measuring it, it could be any place at any given time, including in the person. So she can molecularly teleport into the body of another person.
And the moment another person in the team looks at that ally, you got an implosion.
Yes.
Which can be super awesome.
And then again, two objects cannot occupy the same space at any given point in time. Juxtaposition does not work in mass. So one of them are going to explode. And so there is some nice little offensive deals that we could probably play around with this. But again, if she messes up, big explosions. She could accidentally kill people she doesn't intend to.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't know where she's going to go, right, she can entangle her molecules into a wall and explode a building. So I think there's some offset to this.
It's definitely a character that is really suited for defensive. Like there's offensive uses, but really you have to be up close and personal to really use any of it.
Yes.
At that point.
And I think again, it doesn't really help a team very much.
No.
All right. So there's no team teleportation. There's no offensive backing up. There's no. It's not. I'm not going to be able to bring people in and bring people out. I'm not going to be able to do any of that. It's me, just me, and so there's very limited in what she can do in a team environment. It's really interesting in a sense of a solo assassin, where she could literally teleport into right next to the dude, kill the dude, teleport out, or even teleport into the room, mess him up by an explosion, and teleport back out. Some interesting, and nobody would ever figure out what happened. Just people getting bombed. Good assassin ability. I don't know if it's a great.
Yeah, it's a cool ability because I like the molecular and quantum mechanics of it, Outer Wilds, but it's definitely not something that's like super suited for offense.
No, I think we have some problem. Well, I mean, it's offensive, but not team.
No, yeah.
And so we're talking about an all-around teleporter that's an offensive teleporter. So I think all around we got a little bit of an issue. All right, so next we're going to go into DC again. We have Enchantress. Now, Enchantress is a sorceress, so her ability to teleport is basically magic. All right, so way I understand it works, she just decides who's coming with her, and everybody goes. All right.
Is there any consequences or limitations? Like, is it a hard magic system or very, very soft?
It's a soft. It's just
okay.
She can do what she wants to do. But the fact is, she has to be awake for it to work. You know, there's different pieces to it. I don't really think it's a great. I don't think magic is going to be a great offensive teleportation ability.
Not unless they could create portals, but from from what Enchantress does is teleportation. It's less.
It's a straight up. Let's all go somewhere else. All right. So next, from DC, is Captain Comet. Captain Comet basically can teleport. Again, let me see. Let me look at this. He has acquired a teleportation ability that can be used on others as well as himself, but normally requires an hour to recharge after every jump. So again, he's building up power, and then he releases it to bring a sphere of influence with him, right? So
not what we're looking for.
Not what we're looking for. I don't think it's going to really fit well within an offensive capability. I think it's a good team ability, but again, an hour recharge.
An hour, yeah.
All right, so next we have from Marvel, Lila Cheney. Now, Lila Cheney has the ability to generate a teleportation field. All right, so it doesn't say how large the field is, but I'm assuming she can bring herself and others, so it can be pretty large. If we go into D&D terms, let's say 10 to 15 feet around her person. So a 10-foot radius, so 30-foot diameter. That's a lot of people that she can bring. All right, so it's a teleportation field about herself, which can transport herself and others' objects across interstellar distances. All right, even across the Milky Way galaxy. She can teleport across distances. She cannot teleport across distances shorter than several light years. So that's a limitation. She has to go like way out there to come way back. But it is instantaneous, so okay. So when she teleports from one spot on Earth to another, she actually has to go. She owns a Dysosphere, so which is, if you know, it's a sphere that actually is internal. So the world actually is on the inside walls, and there's a source of power in the center.
Which is cool.
Just to throw a science term thing out there. So she actually teleports to her Dysosphere and then teleport back. Now a woman owns a Dysosphere. Rich. All right.
Well, when you can teleport light years away.
Now she's also a rock and roll star. Just a side note, and Guido was her bodyguard. But apparently she actually has to know where she's going to teleport herself there, or she has to know where it is. So at least see a picture or something of that sort. Now, offensive abilities. What do you think?
It's. I mean, the clear answer is that it's not really offensive and it's mostly used for transportation. But the ability to take your opponent... Well, it depends on... Like, can you actually dictate how large of a teleportation field you get?
It doesn't say, but I'm assuming she can because she can teleport just herself.
Yeah.
But she can also teleport people or objects. So that would tell me that she can regulate the size of that field around her, and decide who's going to go with her. I don't think it may not be necessarily a field or a field that covers the objects that she wants to go, as long as all the objects are touching.
So you can use it offensively, especially to remove opponents from combat.
Can you imagine her just teleporting into a field of battle?
Yeah.
And opening the bubble and then teleport them out to space and then drop them off somewhere, some other planet, and then teleport back.
Mm-hmm.
She could do that. Now, again, she could be hurt because she's going to be in the middle of all these things going on. Plus, apparently she needs to know where she's dropping them, but she also has to be live there, so she can't just drop them to hell, you know. She can't drop them into outer space or into the sun.
Well, unless she's been to hell, but
and then she could die. So, you know, it's kind of I think it's more of a troop movement, or bringing objects in and out. The limitation of interstellar space, so she's going to have to go somewhere else to come back. It's two hops. Every two jumps is two hops.
Two hops every time. So there's that limitation, but you can use it to go and grab objects, say, and then return about 30 feet above your opponent and drop a bomb, right? And you can continue to do that. So there is some uses, but you're looking at two hops every time, and then it's that delay. Who knows what will happen in the change?
Right. So I think it's nice to have the ability to go interstellar. It's nice to have a sphere, but I think you can use a portal just as well, because you can move things through the portal, especially portals that can be placed and not have to be ripped. All right. So it has some offensive, some team, but overall, I think the quintessential.
It's definitely like super supportive as opposed to like offensive.
All right. So next, we're going to talk about Nightcrawler.
The OG himself.
Yes, Nightcrawler. So as he had his primary ability is to teleport himself, his clothing, certain amount of additional mass from one point to another, virtually instantaneously. So he can actually bring a person, but he has to be touching them. He does this by displacing himself through an alternate dimension briefly and reappearing in a desired pre-selected location. He is shown to be able to teleport up to 2 miles under optimal conditions, although this is usually like a limit. He can become severely fatigued if he tries to teleport too far or with too much mass. He has exceeded this limit on multiple occasions, and in one case he teleported over 50 miles, but he was also given specific coordinates through his brain. He has some problem. Most of it he really needs to be able to see where he's going. His effective teleport range was extended after his revival due to both outside assistance and later enhancement to his power, thanks to a deal he made with a demonic race of Bamps. Nightcrawler can warp greater distances by locking onto them as a form of a waypoint marker and pulling himself through it. Beyond this is he can go up to a range of 7,000 miles. So there's been some changes to it. So basically, in short, it's mostly distances that we're changing here. Mm-hmm. What he does is go from one place into another dimension and then out into another place instantaneously. So he's not really warping reality. He's not ripping holes in space. He's not creating portals. He's blinking out of existence and blinking into existence in another spot.
Which is the optimal word for it, because that is the D&D spell for this exact ability.
Right? And it's where they call it bamfing, right? That's what he does, is he bamfs. That's supposedly the sound that it makes. It also smells like sulfur, so not a good assassin, because when the people go like, ooh, why did it smell like a fart?
It is very thematic because demons. But...
It smells like a fart all the time. You know? There's a fart. Nightcrawler must be here. But, I mean, we've seen his ability to be able to bamf around a person and hit them from multiple angles, almost boom, 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 right?
Another like classic offensive use that we've seen is where he will take an opponent with him and just keep teleporting to the point where they can't withstand the strain anymore.
Yep.
He can because he's trained.
He did that to Sebastian Shaw, where he was able to keep out of his grasp for a pretty long time. Then he got a little cocky and got caught. But being able to bamf around him without actually physically touching him, but tripping him up, things of that sort, slowing him down, he was able to do those things. If you put weapons on him, be able to bamf in and out, boom, 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 and shoot bullets, Again, I don't think bullets would be a great idea for him because if he bounces around into the place where the bullets flying, that could be really bad. You have to
That's a bad
remember
idea.
all that. So that's why I think his swashbuckler or blade
Yeah.
with blades is a lot better idea because blades are becoming everywhere. It's like a thousand blade, thousand blade swarm. Whatever that spell is. There's a spell where you get a bunch of cuts. That'd be cool. So it has some pretty good offensive abilities, but again, it's very limited.
It is definitely limited on distance, and depending on like the version, it depends on how long Nightcrawler can withstand it
And how much mass he can bring with him.
Yeah.
A person, two people, I think is really hard.
He's not teleported in the Juggernaut.
No. He maybe grab his helmet and teleport, but that's about, he's not bringing stuff in. So there's a limit to what he can do.
Now,
he can also not misdirect other people's fire at him.
Yeah.
He can just get out of the way, which then, again, means a teammate could be in the line of fire behind him.
There is something, I don't know if we've ever seen it, but if he were to grab, like, you can use this offensively, if he were to grab an opponent and then shift 3 feet to the right and push his opponent in, and when he comes back into reality, have his opponent standing in the middle of a brick wall. And the solid matter is not being displaced by the body.
It depends. I mean, how do you put the guy in the wall? Your hands are going to be in there too.
If you're holding on to them, it's just a matter of getting him right down the middle, and you being on the inside.
You'd have to be very, very careful and very, very exact.
Oh yeah,
because if his hands go in there.
Of course, I mean he's not teleported into a wall before, so we can presume he has at least some idea.
Well, he has said, "I can't do that because I do not know where the wall is." So he has said specifically that those things could happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not careful, all right, let's go on.
Well, the other thing I want to talk about is he goes to an alternate dimension.
Yes.
Have we ever seen him just leave some part of some mass in the midst of teleportation?
I have not seen one, but I'm not saying it didn't happen.
I don't know if that's possible. If that is, that's a really cool other offensive ability. Is you just grab something, teleport, leave it in the alternate dimension, and keep going on. And you don't have to be technical or careful. It's just pick them up, drop them off.
That would be interesting. I think it's like the shadow dimension, but
yeah. Well, yeah.
But that would be interesting. All right, so, which was interesting in Invincible, the Batman type character had a sidekick, and one of his abilities was to draw people. He was able to teleport through shadows, and so he actually went into the shadow dimension, and he could grab somebody, pull them in the shadow dimension, and leave them there. In that universe, shadow dimension is actually occupied by really bad beings, and he could leave somebody there and and go, and that guy's dead. Gone. They're gonna eat him. He actually pulled Invincible into the shadow realm. Invincible just held on to him. Said, "If you go out, I'll go out with you. Otherwise, we both stay here and face whatever's coming." Which one of us do you think will survive?
The guy named Invincible.
The guy named Invincible. So that was a cool ability. If you kind of tying it to what you're saying about Kurt, if Kurt could do that or take something in there and leave it, that'd be interesting, because we don't know. We know a lot of people have gone into the shadow realm and died because they can't survive in there. So that could be interesting. All right, so next is a guy named Agent Zero. Now, he's from the Marvel Universe. His ambient energy dampening actualization model unit 0 is his full name. Now, this dude worked with Strife. All right, what his main purpose was to actually teleport Strife around. So Zero had the ability to teleport. It opened portals between 2 different points, but it could only keep the portals open for a very short period of time. So what he literally did was create like a Stargate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wormhole that he could open up, and it could only be open for a few seconds. People get in and out, and then it's down. All right? So he could place it, but there wasn't a lot of size. It was one size. People go in, people come out. That's it. It's done. And he can travel through it as well. So it has abilities to be a backup, and that's usually what he was, is the teleporter. He was a support character for Strife to bring things in and out. Again, a portal, but
with creative uses, you can use this offensively. You open a portal on your side, destination of the middle of an active volcano. Destination the bottom of an ocean, right? Is and it's like you can use this offensively with creative ideas to do it. But again, you have to be creative with that ability, especially since he can only open it up for a specific little bit of time.
Yeah.
Now there isn't really like it doesn't list any other limitations for distance or strain or anything.
Or where he can place it.
Exactly.
Does it have to be like a Stargate? Because that's all I've ever seen in the comics. Or could he place it on the ground flat where people were running and they would fall into it?
And it's like you can definitely use this offensively. You place a portal right in front of somebody coming towards you. Where do they go? Only you know.
Depends on how fast it opens up. It depends on whether people recognize it and stops. So there's kind of some qualifications here in the way we read it is how fast it opens up. Can he place it forward, down? Can he open it instantaneous? How far away from him can he open it? I don't know. But the idea of, again, portal works. All right, so the last person we're going to talk about is, again, from the Marvel Universe, is Blink.
Probably the most suited for offensive here in this list.
Yes. Blink has the ability to teleport herself and others at will. Blink can teleport large masses, including sizable groups of people. She has also used her powers in a destructive manner by teleporting parts of objects. She can open portals that displace projectiles, and even enemies that threaten her. Blink's portals are typically pink, blah, blah, blah. All right, so basically, Blink can open a portal of different sizes, different shapes, from different locations, all over the place. And then she can move large masses, so huge portals, down to projectiles. So this goes along with what my definition of quick movement. Now, I like what Kurt can do by being, and what Peekaboo can do by the person being instantaneously one point to another.
Yeah.
But that negates portals. All right, so they don't use portals.
No.
But I like the ability, but they don't use portals. What I do like about portals is the ability to use the other person's power or attack against them, the ability to move team from one place to another, and the ability, in a sense, to use it as a long-range weapon. Can you imagine her using a blade standing 100 miles away and opening up a portal with two blades at different points, like in front and behind the person, and just go like this, and it comes in front and back of the person. She could do that.
Yeah, like I mean, it's like for example with Guido as like an example of, hey, look, let's open a portal. It's just Guido and Blink in a room. Open a portal. Guido punches an opponent straight up into the air. Open up another portal. He punches him straight down. He's staying in the room.
Yep.
But as long as you know the situation, you can have a portal open up as a camera, right? And it's like you can like.
Can you imagine? Guido punches this dude, right? He punches this dude. This dude goes flying back. Blink opens a portal behind him with the opening here. So he flies into the portal and then flies out of the portal back toward Guido.
Yeah.
And Guido punches him, and she opens a portal. He goes in, turns around, and flies back out of the portal right into Guido. And which Guido himself actually increases power every time he punches. So he could, every time the kinetic force comes back, punch him again, and the punch is going to get stronger every time the person flies toward him. If she wanted to, somebody could run at her. She could open a portal under his feet and at the roof, and he would just continuously fall forever.
Yeah, that portal's reference. Let's keep it going.
I mean, she could open a portal at somebody's neck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different pieces here where she could do long range, she could do close up fighting, and she could be support, defensive, and all these things at one point. The one thing she can't do is the quick movement from one place to another of herself. She's got to open a portal and step through it. And so she's got to know where she's going to go. And so jumping, going from one in front of him to behind him, she has to open a portal, come away from him, and then come out in front of him again. It's a little bit different than the way Nightcrawler does it or Peekaboo does it, which doesn't make her really good in, like an assassin or a close-in fighter constantly.
Although if she just places one underneath her feet, you don't have to step through it. You fall through it. But yeah, it's not instantaneous at that point.
I mean, she is skilled at hand-to-hand fighting, and a person in this position should be skilled at hand-to-hand
Oh
fighting.
yeah,
because I mean, just imagine she creates these sphere of power bolts, right, or crystal bolts. They open up a portal, multiple portals in front of you, and then have them come out of multiple places around what she's hitting, and she just starts throwing things through it. Bah, 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 bah. I mean, she's like I mean, so now we're going to come up with what we think would be the best offensive use of teleportation as an offensive weapon. My opinion, portal is number one on the list of things that needs to happen.
Oh yeah, just for the amount of creative uses you can.
Overarching has more application than any other than the quantum mechanics between spheres.
It's also not tearing holes in reality.
Not tearing holes in reality. So just doing a portal. The second ability portals is the ability to place the portal where you want it, not necessarily where you are,
or where you've been, or what you've seen, or it's like just knowing an idea of what you want, and you can place it.
Place it anywhere. And third is the size of the portal. There has to be ability to make small portals. I mean, can you imagine opening a portal like this, and it opens up in another person, and you can just and you can actually look through scrying.
Yeah.
Just that ability. I mean, there's the application here. The size matters in this situation as well as teleporting. So size matters here. How small, how large, how much mass you can put through, how much small. Again, there's so many applications here. So portals,
and like,
place portals, size of portals.
And like not only that, but in a team, like this is something you want to consider for a team, is the portals. It's very useful for teammates, and it's like you can work with your teammates' abilities and apply it in ways that were not able to be used before. Like, say your opponents are inside of a building, but you can't psychically reach them for whatever reason. Open up a portal. Now you're inside the building, you can reach them.
Now, I don't know if she has this ability, but it would be cool if she had the ability to open one portal with multiple exits.
Oh, that.
Because it's like she's working a Cyclops, and he shoots a laser beam through this portal, and then it comes out in 5 different locations and hits 5 different people at the same time.
Well,
I don't know if she can do it. That would be cool.
Theoretically, I mean, you'd have to set it up with some like super like refracting and reflecting ideas behind it, and set up like pre-plan it and have the logic set up and built behind it, where you're actually opening more than just 6 portals. You have 10, 20 set up in the background somewhere, so that way it's reflecting and bouncing everywhere. But yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. So my perfect offensive teleporter would be one that can do portals, place portals, not kick portals or rip holes in reality, and allow for size of portals, and put them anywhere she wants to, whether she can see it or not. I think the limits on it should be range. I think she should have range of ability. I think the amount of portals open at any given time should also be in a limitation, so she can have multiple small ones, but only one larger one. And so those are 2 limitations I would put on it.
So let's base it on mass, and actually giving it a physical mass representation in the universe, which can tie into some other powers we've seen.
Yes. So mass, I think distance would also qualify.
Oh yeah.
How far is she going with the portal? So those things are all going to be limitations for that ability. I think that would be my ultimate. So what about you?
Definitely take the portals. I like, as a defensive maneuver, having the instantaneous ability to teleport just yourself, or just you in a little bit of mass, is always something really cool to have. She has the support for bringing teams from one place to another, repositioning, etc. But if you can take and give it actual mass, then you can take the power of when the mass is gone. There's that implosion, giving it an additional kick as you're fighting.
I think the one thing with portals is things have to pass through it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you can do the implosion.
But if you're giving it mass,
giving what mass?
The portals themselves.
I don't know if you can do that. Maybe if you just make a thick rim portal.
Look at the rims on these portals.
I mean, what could be crazy if you could open up a portal into space?
Oh yeah.
Because then you're talking about a vacuum on the other side of the portal. It's going to pull things in through it. because it would be just like a spaceship that ruptures, that oxygen escapes out because of the vacuum and pressure. So if you open up a portal into space, pressure is going to rip people right out into space. Then you just close it back up.
Yep. And of course, I think if as a writer, if you're playing around with it, it could be really cool to have portals that are based in a quantum mechanics idea, where the portals are in multiple places at any given time, and it's until somebody looks at it that it's locked down. But at that point, it's already been in multiple places and could have done many different things. So playing around with that could be a really neat idea, because you're able to use one portal for 7 different things if you want, right? So I don't know. It's definitely the portals are the most offensive teleportation ability, because they are magic.
They're awesome. All right, so portals beat out spheres. I think spheres is, to me, the next one down. Has a good use to it. If you go into assassin mode, Peekaboo's number 1, and then Nightcrawler is real. I like Nightcrawler in a sense of a team where he can be. He's more of a support character where he can distract and move people in and out quick, but he's limited, very limited, and he's not very offensive. He uses a sword, but every time he fights, it's mostly very, very support and distracting. That's what he does.
Now that said, he could be that master martial artist who can teleport, and that would be an offensive character, but it's also it's not as strong in offense. It's more hand-to-hand combat with the added ability.
Right. It would be more of a dodge.
Yeah.
It's not really a teleport. You're dodging in a sense. You're moving around to where they can't hit you. So a lot of in Magic, again, Magic is too hard to quantify what you can and cannot do. It just kind of depends on the writer. So that's our decision. I think we're in agreement.
Yep.
Portals is the way, but again with qualifications, portals, placing portals, size of portals, with limitations in a sense of distance and size of portal and the amount of portals at any given point.
So yeah, when you're creating your teleportation character, give it a hard magic system, because you actually have understandings of what your limitations are, as opposed to I can do anything.
Yeah, because I'm gonna say if your portal is made is basically has a mass number, like you said. If you give your portal an amount of mass that you can only have, let's say 100 grams of mass, right? And that means you can have a portal that's 300 feet wide or 30 feet wide, right?
Yeah.
So 30 feet wide. So if you have multiple minor portals, you're still not hitting that 100 grams of mass. But again, if you remove mass from space at any given point,
it's got to go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere. You're going to have a vacuum, you get explosions. So that is another consequence of a portal, which is also another good thing to put into place, where it can be cool, but when she's moving her team from one place to another, you got to understand there is going to be a boom when they open and when they leave. So it's some good things to play with, but I think that is our number 1 offensive teleporting ability would be portals. So if you agree, let us know in the comments.
In the comments.
If you disagree,
in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. Please join the conversation, join the discussion. We'd love to have these things. Maybe we'll do one of the Shop Talks live some point.
Yeah.
But please join us, and if you like this, please like and subscribe so you can get all the Shop Talk notifications, and you can actually join our conversations on the Shop Talk.
Next time in the Long Box.
We'll see you next time in the Long Box.